California spends more than $10 billion per year on state prisons. And yet 6 out of 10 people coming out of state prisons end up going right back in. What we really need to do is ask ourselves, how could we be throwing this much money away when it's really not even addressing the problem it's supposed to resolve? Californians for Safety and Justice is calling for the development of a blueprint for community safety with smart investments to treatment and prevention programs at the community level. We commissioned the first of its kind survey of California crime victims. We decided to ask some simple questions. Who is victimized by crime, and what would they like to see out of their criminal justice policies?
I became a victim of violence, suffered 2 near-fatal gunshot wounds to my back. I remember being very angry, receiving no help, no services. I began to think about what happened in those 2 individuals' lives that shot me. You know, what type of services or resources did they receive in their life, or services that they didn't receive that led them up into that night.
Welcome. This is the 2nd annual Survivors Speak Conference. With Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, our statewide network for crime victims, we learned that most crime victims don't think prisons work to keep communities safe. We've worked with this Crime Survivors network to advocate for increased investments into trauma recovery.
It was shocking, you know, to learn that that my brother had been murdered.
My husband was killed in the line of duty, and I was told that getting the death penalty would be the thing that would put my life back together, and that wasn't true at all. But what I did know, the lack of trauma services and healing was behind the whole cycle of violence and incarceration.
We just don't want tough on crime policies and laws. We want us to be able to talk about what is the smart investments for individuals to, you know, rehabilitate themselves and become productive members in society.
More and more people in the public are understanding that you can have both a low prison population and a low crime rate. And criminal justice reform is one of the few issues in the United States now where there is a bipartisan movement to reduce incarceration and try to use rehabilitation more often.
We reached out and formed a partnership with the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. We've also developed partnerships with labor leaders across the state of California. We were very honored to work with law enforcement leaders along with our Crime Survivors network across the state to pass Proposition 47. Proposition 47 changed low-level nonviolent crimes from felonies to misdemeanors and then reallocates the prison savings into mental health treatment and victim services. With the passage of Proposition 47, California will now have the largest trauma recovery services grant program for crime victims in the country. These are the things that have been proven to stop the cycle of crime in order to give people an opportunity to see a new pathway forward.